Biteng-Coloma, born in San Jose, Santa Cruz, Ilocos Sur, on September 13, 1922. I'm the seventh of seven children. And my father, Juan Biteng, was one of the early converts by American missionaries in the Philippines. And being a convert at that time was very much observed by people what change the conversion would make in their lives. And my father stood up to his conversion, and he was one of the founders of the United Methodist Church in San Jose, Santa Cruz, Ilocos Sur, together with two other old men. So when I was born, my father was already an evangelical Christian, and I am proud to say that three of his children after his conversion were named Moses, Solomon, and Miriam. I had two sisters and four brothers. So I am the youngest of the seven siblings. My church was then the San Jose United Methodist Church in San Jose, Santa Cruz, Ilocos Sur. And up to now, that church is still existing, and even the building is modernized. And I'm very proud to be a part and to have grown up in that church. July 5, 1947, I was married to Lieutenant Ramon Choatico from Ilog Negros Occidental. I met him in the army. We were married at Ellinwood Church by the late Pastor Reverend Hessel, Eugene Hessel. July 5, 1947, but unfortunately, he died April 16, 1948, leaving a posthumous son who was born June 7, 1948. My college years were first in Manila, because while I was in high school, in Ilocos Sur High School in Vigan City, I stayed in Dudley Hall, a dormitory named after an early missionary, Miss Rose Dudley. And at first, I was decided to take up teaching, because teachers at that time were very popular, and it seemed to be the best profession to get into. But while I was fourth year in Dudley Hall, the dean of the dormitory, Miss Saturnina Lara, called me and asked me what I was going to take up. Seeing the teachers doing their lesson plans together with the students who were studying their lessons in the same room. At that time, the nurses were already heard laughing in their rooms in the dormitory. And so when I told Miss Lara that I wanted to be a teacher, she said, "Can you hear the nurses upstairs?" I said, "Yes." "And about the teachers, they're still making their lesson plans." That motivated me to take up nursing, because then I found out that the nurses would be were happier, and they seemed to be very satisfied with their calling. So, Miss Lara said she was going to recommend me to Mary Johnston School of Nursing in Manila. And I had to go to Manila to take the entrance examination in March 1940. And so I did. And happily, I passed the entrance examination. So I started my nursing education at Mary Johnston Hospital, School of Nursing, in 1940 to 41. Then the war came, World War II came. So the hospital being close to Manila Bay, we could see the bullets coming from Corregidor towards Manila. It was a terrible experience being a student at the time. However, we continued until we were, our schooling was stopped for about 6 months, and we were sent home. Going home to Ilocos was a dream, because I had to move from one vehicle to another, and on the way were Japanese who stopped us, and all of us in the bus would go down and say and bow down to the Japanese guard. And I reached home. My parents were already in the evacuation place among the hills in our farm. However, after some time, I got a note from Manila calling me back to continue nursing, because the Japanese government allowed engineering and nursing to go on during the war. And how I went back to Manila, I can't recall how, but I reached Manila to continue my studies. So I found out that our missionaries who were already concentrated in UST compound, and our English was changed to Nipongo. Our teacher being a doctor, Filipino doctor, who took up his studies in Japan. Miss Dim was our Bible teacher, and I just loved how she taught us. For the other subjects, I remember that thank God, I did not have so much difficulty in any of my subjects, although anatomy and physiology seemed to be the hardest because of the origin and insertions of muscles. It was hard to remember those. However, I got over it successfully, but my favorite subject seemed to be Materia Medica, which was handled by our pharmacist, Miss Macalintal. We graduated. We were the last batch to finish in 1943. We were 24 students in the first year, but we found out that we were only 18 who finished the course. I felt so sad when one of my classmates uh, from Kandon, Ilocos Sur, did not make it because one head nurse blamed her for something else, that she did not do well in her duties, and she was recommended not to continue. I felt so sad that she had to go. As I said, we were 24 to start, and only 18 graduated. Some, I cannot remember how or why they were not being able to continue. It's only this one experience that I remember very well, because the brother of this lady, who is her townmate, the townmate of this head nurse, felt really very bad about her sisters being sent home, and he really blamed this head nurse to cause the discontinuance of his sister. So being the last batch to finish in that school before it was burned, before this hospital was burned, the next batch were scattered at the North General Hospital and the Chinese General Hospitals of Nursing, but they were still considered graduates of Mary Johnston. As I said, being graduates of that Japanese time, we did not enjoy an exciting graduation, because we were dressed in the poorest kind of Filipino woven cloth called pinokpok, and we did not have graduation pictures. Neither did we have class pictures. I don't remember having one. But anyway, we graduated. And after graduation, I worked right away at the Mary Child's Hospital as a surgical nurse. And the director then, was Dr. Gomercindo Garcia, a Christian physician. He was also a director of our Mary Johnston Hospital. After working at the Mary Child's Hospital, I transferred to San Lazaro Hospital to try communicable disease nursing. And it was there in 1945 when the Philippine Army called for nurses to work in North Luzon. That hospital was under the United States Armed Forces in North Luzon, because fighting was still going on in the north, and we were taking care of wounded soldiers coming down from Cordillera. That was where General Maria Yamasita surrendered, and the war was over in 1945. So from Tagudin, the hospital was the marketplace converted into a hospital, and that's where we took care of wounded soldiers. And the houses around that marketplace were the private rooms for officers. And the late President Marcos was one of my patients. He was a guerrilla soldier with so many bullet wounds inside him. After that hospital, we were moved to First Station Hospital in San Fernando, Pampanga. And from there to Viluna Hospital in Mandaluyong. Now the patients suffering from tuberculosis could not be accommodated, all of them, in Viluna. So the Army took over 2 wings of the Quezon Institute to house our TB patients. And I was assigned there with 2 other Army nurses. I requested to be converted to the reserve force in 1948. That was when, because I was already married, because I got married, I decided to go to Bacolod City because that was our plan with my late husband, to put up a laundry there and a dressmaking shop for my sister-in-law. So, making the decision whether to stay with my parents in Ilocos or to go to Bacolod City was really hard, because I was on family way, but my sisters-in-law were so good to me, and so I decided to go with them. They wanted to help me with the delivery of that child. So I stayed with them from 1948 in Bacolod City up to 1950. While in Bacolod City, where I delivered my child at the Negros Occidental Provincial Hospital, I worked also as a school nurse at the Negros Occidental High School. And at night, I used to study at the West Negros College, working towards my BSE or BSN. Now, in 1950, later part of 1950, I decided to go to Silliman University to work at the Mission Hospital. But instead of working at the Mission Hospital, I was put at the College of Nursing. And so I taught at the College of Nursing with another MJS graduate, Conchita Royer. I forgot the name, but she was a Mary Johnston graduate. There I stayed for 2 years in the College of Nursing. And my parents decided to call me back because they could not visit me anymore in the Visayas. They wanted me to go back to Manila, and I had to give up my work at the Silliman College of Nursing. And there I went. I was taken at the Department of Health to take up. We were the first public health nurses trained in BCG, that is a prevention for tuberculosis. And after my training at the Department of Health, I was sent to Tarlac to start the static chest clinic there, while the nurse from Tarlac was training to take over. So when she took up my job in Tarlac, I was assigned to Cabanatuan City to start another chess center. There, I continued again my college work towards BSE, and in fact, I finished my BSE at the Philippine Statesman College, then in Cabanatuan. From Cabanatuan City, I was transferred to Lawag City, Lawag, Ilocos Norte, to start the chess clinic there. And it was there, 1956, when a Nestle nurse came along looking for an Ilocano nurse to work in the Northern Luzon for Nestle Philippines. At that time, Nestle was called Philipro. I accepted the job, and I started my job at Nestle from 1956. Assigned in Northern Luzon for the first 7 years, promoting the infant foods to hospitals, pediatricians, health centers, and nurses. So I had a big experience being with doctors and nurses all over. And after 7 years doing that job, I was promoted to a supervisorship in Manila. And so I moved to Manila with my family. I should say that working with Nestle for 27 years was the best part of my life. Best part? Because Nestle fed my 3 children with their infant foods. And of course, the pay was also very, I don't know, but it was the best that I could choose at that time. So while working with Nestle, I had to finish my BSN. I was only an RN, finishing at Mary Johnston. And I chose the Ocampo College then because it is along Santa Mesa, and I could easily drop in while coming from my office in Makati. So I finished my BSN at the Ocampo Memorial College, then university now. Nestle I worked there really for 27 years. And and this gave me also an experience to travel the whole of the Philippines as a coordinator among the doctors promoting our infant foods during their nutrition seminars. That took me up to Sulu. And travel at that time was also very difficult. That was one of my reasons for getting remarried. Because my husband, then late Coloma, was a superintendent in the Wells and Springs division of the Bureau of Public Works. And his work was all over the Philippines. They were putting up artisan wells. And he used to coordinate his schedule with my schedules in the Visayas and Mindanao. So for me, that was an added protection. I needed him there. And during that time when I was traveling, there were also NPAs, especially in Northern Luzon. And it was really an encounter, very difficult travels. The roads were very bad at that time. No electricity in rural areas. Everything was hard. So I got remarried after 8 years. And before I remarried, I asked the Lord I would get remarried if He would give me a girl. And He granted me a girl. My firstborn was a girl. And so I used to tell my daughter that I requested you, and you're a gift from the Lord. So now, I'm going to move with her, having been with my two boys already in the United States. One in Pacifica, and now with Roy, my youngest, in Rancho Cordova. I'm going to move with my daughter in Vallejo, California. And this being my golden years, I really need to be with my daughter already, because time will come when I can no longer do everything for myself, and I will need my daughter to take care of me. However, even at these late years of my life, I am still actively engaged or needed in my church. Because in 1914, January 1914, we started a new fellowship in my son's house in Rancho Cordova. We called now the River Valley Christian Fellowship, and this is only the third year of that fellowship. We used to worship house to house, but now we have been offered the chapel of the First United Methodist Church in Sacramento to be our place of worship. And I see to it that every Sunday I'm there, because I know that I am needed to encourage the young ones. Being the oldest, I want to encourage the young ones on how to serve the Lord, how to have a better relationship with the Lord. And that's what I'm doing now. Some of my church members own care homes, and if they pick me up, I minister to the elderly in these care homes. And I'm so happy to do that, because I know that many of these elderlies don't have families, no one to visit them, and they need to know, to encourage them to know where they are going after this short life here on earth. And I'm so happy to do that. I'm thankful to the Lord that He has not taken my alertness of mine, so I still can do this thing even at this late age. When I was taking up nursing, I was thinking of becoming a missionary nurse, because I heard of those dentists, Filipino doctors who were missionaries in Borneo, and I was thinking also of doing the same thing, to be a missionary nurse. Well, unfortunately, I was not meant to be a missionary nurse, but my heart has always been on missions. Oh, I wish still would go back to my experience in Nestle. Nestle gave me really the best incentives in my life. Moving from one kind of job to another, and I cannot exchange the confidence that company gave me promoting me to different jobs in the company. And later on, of course, the last was to put up a clinic for the company, because then the law required that if there are 250, at least 250 employees, they should have a clinic. And I was asked to put up the company clinic in Makati, and to choose the doctor who will also be the company doctor. And those experiences are really very, to me, I treasure them. Oh, nurse is a very, what is this, a job, look up unto. You see, even when I was with Nestle already, whenever I was at home in my barrio, at night I would be called for delivery. And the people thought that I was, maybe they thought that I was a government employee who could be called anytime. But I was doing it very willingly. I was not paid anything, but I was doing it even in the middle of the night. I have so many deliveries in my community that I can't even remember. But they do. These people that I delivered, the parents know that they called me anytime they needed a nurse. And that's the service that I had been trained to do, to serve people. And I didn't look after the monetary side of it. We were all prepared during our student life in nursing to serve. And that's what we were trained for, to serve people. But we don't only take care of their physical bodies, their physical health. We were also trained to train them on the spiritual side of life. And that is very important. A healthy body, a healthy mind, and a healthy spirit. We don't graduate as nurses. We never graduate. We will always serve, even in our old age. We do what we can, spontaneously, to serve mankind without thinking of the monetary reward, because we know that the Lord is looking. The Lord does not forget what we do to other people. So we don't even have to think of that, as long as we do things automatically. If we are trained that way, we do things automatically, as if we are the hands and feet of Jesus. And being such, we should be willing to make Him known through our actions. That's where we were called for. And I had always thought of that I was trained to be a nurse, not only to take care of the physical health of people, but also for their spiritual life. I can still remember Psalm 23. I memorized that from childhood until now. I am proud to say that I can still memorize the whole of Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. Many ask me the secret of my long life. And all I can say is that from childhood, I learned that our bodies are the temple of God, and that we should not dilute our bodies with something that will hinder its healthy growth. So I am proud to say that really I had never diluted this temple with smoke and alcohol. And even my diet is mostly vegetables, fruits, fish. I eat the other kinds of meat, but not on a daily basis, because I know that these foods are more needed by my body. And thank God, at this golden age of mine, the doctors cannot find any ailment that is hard to treat. But I only take maintenance dose for high blood pressure and for cholesterol because of my age. And the doctor sees me only 2 times a year. 2 times a year. And she said that I am the healthiest of her patients at this age. I am so thankful, so grateful to be a part of our North California chapter of the Alumni Association. And I thank Elmer so much. I thank Elmer so much for bringing me in. How? I didn't even know. But all of a sudden, I met him and he put me in. He drew me in to this Alumni Association, which I was really longing to be a part of, even in the past years, because I have not closed my pledge to my alma mater. Will always be there, and I will always cherish being a Mary Johnston College of Nursing graduate. I would not be where I am now without this institution that brought me where I am.
Thank you.